1번. 다음 글의 주제로 가장 적절한 것은?
Every day, children explore and construct relationships among objects. Frequently, these relationships focus on how much, or how many of something exists. Thus, children count 1 cookie, 2 shoes, 3 candles on the birthday cake, 4 children in the sandbox. Children compare which has more, which has fewer. Will there be enough? Children calculate how many will fit. Now, I have 5. I need 1 more. In all of these instances, children are developing a notion of quantity. Children reveal and investigate mathematical concepts through their own activities or experiences, such as figuring out how many crackers to take at snack time or sorting shells into piles.
2번. 다음 글의 주제로 가장 적절한 것은?
Social relationships benefit from people giving each other compliments now and again. Because people like to be liked and like to receive compliments. In that respect, social lies such as making deceptive, but flattering comments "I like your new haircut" may benefit mutual relations. Social lies are told for psychological reasons, and serve both self-interest and the interest of others. They serve self-interest because liars may gain satisfaction when they notice that their lies please other people, or because they realize that by telling such lies they avoid an awkward situation or discussion. They serve the interest of others because hearing the truth all the time, "You look much older now than you did a few years ago," could damage a person's confidence and self-esteem.
3번. 다음 글의 주제로 가장 적절한 것은?
Vegetarian eating is moving into the mainstream as more and more young adults say no to meat, poultry, and fish. According to the American Dietetic Association, approximately planned vegetarian diets are healthful, are nutritionally adequate, and provide health benefits in the prevention and treatment of certain diseases. But health concerns are not the only reason that young adults give for changing their diets. Some make the choice out of concern for animal rights. When faced with the statistics that show the majority of animals raised as food live in confinement, many teens give up meat to protest those conditions. Others turn to vegetarianism to support the environment. Meat production uses vast amounts of water, land, grain, and energy and creates problems with animal waste and resulting pollution.
4번. 다음 글의 주제로 가장 적절한 것은?
We used to think that the brain never changed, but according to the neuroscientist Richard Davidson, we now know that this is not true. Specific brain circuits grow stronger through regular practice. He explains, well-being is fundamentally no different than learning to play the cello. If one practices the skills of well-being, one will get better at it. What this means is that you can actually train your brain to become more grateful, relaxed, or confident by repeating experiences that evoke gratitude, relaxation, or confidence. Your brain is shaped by the thoughts you repeat. The more neurons fire as they are activated by repeated thoughts and activities, the faster they develop into neural pathways, which cause lasting changes in the brain. Or in the words of Donald Hebb, neurons that fire together wire together. This is such an encouraging premise. Bottom line, we can intentionally create the habits for the brain to be happier.
5번. 다음 글의 주제로 가장 적절한 것은?
Shopping for new gadgets, clothes, or just random junk can turn into a hobby in itself. If you'd rather save your money, try finding pleasure in creating things rather than buying things. We get the same kind of satisfaction from making things that we do from buying things. If you draw something you're proud of or write something you enjoy, you've now got a new thing in your life that makes you happy. Buying a new gadget might give you a similar rush, but it's also probably more temporary. Of course, our recommendation can cost money, too. However, when you can't spend money, you can always learn more about your craft online, or practice with what you already have. Even if you end up spending money making things yourself, you're at least building a skill, rather than a collection of stuff that's quickly decreasing in value.
6번. 다음 글의 주제로 가장 적절한 것은?
The use of renewable sources of energy to produce electricity has increasingly been encouraged as a way to harmonize the need to secure electricity supply with environmental protection objectives. But the use of renewable sources also comes with its own consequences, which require consideration. Renewable sources of energy include a variety of sources such as hydropower and ocean-based technologies. Additionally, solar, wind, geothermal and biomass Renewable sources also have their own impact on the environment. Hydropower dams, for example, have an impact on aquatic ecosystems. And, more recently, have been identified as significant sources of greenhouse emissions. Wind, solar, and biomass also cause negative environmental impacts, such as visual pollution, intensive land occupation, and negative effects on bird populations.
7번. 다음 글의 주제로 가장 적절한 것은?
When you face a severe source of stress, you may fight back, reacting immediately. While this served your ancestors well when they were attacked by a wild animal, it is less helpful today unless you are attacked physically. Technology makes it much easier to worsen a situation with a quick response. I know I have been guilty of responding too quickly to people on email. In particular, in a harsh tone that only made things worse. The more something causes your heart to race, the more important it is to step back before speaking or typing a single word. This will give you time to think things through, and find a way to deal with the other person in a healthier manner.
8번. 다음 글의 주제로 가장 적절한 것은?
Sometimes we are fascinated when our assumptions are turned inside, out and around. The artist Pablo Picasso, for example, used cubism as a way to help us see the world differently. In his famous work Three Musicians, he used abstract forms to shape the players in such an unexpected way that, when you first see this artwork, you assume that nothing makes sense. Yet when you look at the painting a second time, the figures come together. Picasso's work challenges your assumptions about how space and objects are used. His artwork helps you see the world differently and reminds you, there are alternative ways of using shape, objects, and colors. The reward for this is the intrinsic pleasure you get by looking at this work.
9번. 다음 글의 주제로 가장 적절한 것은?
Like anything else involving effort, compassion takes practice. We have to work at getting into the habit of standing with others in their time of need. Sometimes offering help is a simple matter that does not take us far out of our way. Remembering to speak a kind word to someone who is down, or spending an occasional Saturday morning volunteering for a favorite cause. At other times, helping involves some real sacrifice. A bone to the dog is not charity, Jack London observed. Charity is the bone shared with the dog, when you are just as hungry as the dog. If we practice taking the many small opportunities to help others, we'll be in shape to act when those times requiring real, hard sacrifice come along.
10번. 다음 글의 주제로 가장 적절한 것은?
When two people are involved in an honest and open conversation, there is a back and forth flow of information. It is a smooth exchange. Since each one is drawing on their past personal experiences, the pace of the exchange is as fast as memory. When one person lies, their responses will come more slowly, because the brain needs more time to process the details of a new invention than to recall stored facts. As they say, timing is everything. You will notice the time lag when you are having a conversation with someone who is making things up as they go. Don't forget that the other person may be reading your body language as well. And if you seem to be disbelieving their story, they will have to pause to process that information, too.
11번. 다음 글의 주제로 가장 적절한 것은?
Human beings are driven by a natural desire to form and maintain interpersonal relationships. From this perspective, people seek relationships with others to fill a fundamental need, and this need underlies many emotions, actions, and decisions throughout life. Probably, the need to belong is a product of human beings' evolutionary history. As a social species, human beings have long depended on the cooperation of others for the supply of food, protection from predators, and the acquisition of essential knowledge. Without the formation and maintenance of social bonds, early human beings probably would not have been able to cope with or adapt to their physical environments. Thus, seeking closeness and meaningful relationships has long been vital for human survival.
12번. 다음 글의 주제로 가장 적절한 것은?
When we read a number, we are more influenced by the leftmost digit than by the rightmost, since that is the order in which we read and process them. The number 799 feels significantly less than 800. Because we see the former as 7-something and the latter as 8-something, whereas 798 feels pretty much like 799. Since the 19th century, shopkeepers have taken advantage of this trick by choosing prices ending in a 9 to give the impression that a product is cheaper than it is. Surveys show that around a third to two-thirds of all retail prices now end in a 9. Though we are all experienced shoppers, we are still fooled. In 2008, researchers at the University of Southern Brittany monitored a local pizza restaurant that was serving 5 types of pizza at $8.00 each. When one of the pizzas was reduced in price to $7.99, its share of sales rose from a third of the total to a half.